Hi, once again, thank you for being here. I'm Ian. What are some big don'ts that you shouldn't do? Because, I mean, you've gone a lot over the stuff you should do. Are there any things that you should really try and avoid?
How much time do we have?
Well, I think something that's good to avoid, these guys just said, is thinking that everything you do is great, right? I tell songwriters the key is to know what's bad, and a lot of songwriters don't know what's bad. So how do you know what's bad? You get somebody in your life who has good taste. They don't have to be a songwriter. They have to be a good music listener. Could be your friend, could be your guy like Rich Christina here, was my publisher. You know, somebody who has higher quality taste than my mom, and basically can go, that chorus isn't as good as you think it is. And I don't fight him on it. I just throw it in the garbage, and I write another one.
Your mom has impeccable taste.
Yes. She still wants me to work with Barry Manilow. She doesn't get it. So anyway, don't believe the hype. It's when you say don't do it, don't, and it's a tricky thing because you have to get in a room and get passionate about what you're doing. So you're allowed to fall in love with your idea, but have a bit of a reality check. Have someone outside that room, and maybe it's two people, but you'll start to see that good ideas tend to be pretty contagious, and more than one person will say it's great. So that's my suggestion what not to do.
And I'm going to give the flip side of that coin. I think that you have to believe in, if you you have strong conviction that what you made is great, and you're really hard on yourself. I've had people tell me a song that I wrote wasn't good enough, and then that song went the distance. In that, I could have just said, he's right, and just kind of trashed it, but I didn't. So it's a balancing act, because you're 100% right. If somebody tells you that this isn't good enough, you should definitely take a good, long, hard look at it. But if you still believe after you do that good, long, hard, critical look, I mean, maybe they're wrong. It's possible. People have been wrong before.
And the delineation, I think, is ego from heart and soul. So again, what Mike, I think, is saying, the folks that told him the song wasn't any good turned out to be a big hit. He felt in his heart how strongly the song was, not his ego wasn't like, I'm an amazing songwriter, this is so great. So I think that's the difference between what Gregg is saying and what Mike is saying. Also, I generally give my songwriters the early advice, very similar to what I told you before, was say yes. I have so many young songwriters like, I'm not doing that, I don't want to try that. You don't win and you don't get better by saying no. Say yes, give it a try, and you're not going to learn anything from doing nothing. So you got to get out there and again, sort of like participate and try not to be afraid to fail. We're going to fail a lot. We're all very successful here, and we all still fail more often than we don't. But we get up again tomorrow and try all over again.
The one thing I would say, and I just want to complete the circle, because you said what are the things people don't do? Don't sign a contract because someone hands it to you ever. Know what it means before you do anything. And I know that seems really obvious, but in the heat of being liked or somebody being passionate about you, that is real business. And the moment you guys turn 18, you need to really pause and reflect and not let the heat of the moment get you to do something that could come back and haunt you. And that is one of those age-old stories in any entertainment business. Just be mindful of that. The one thing I'll tell you is that this is a business of magnificently insecure people who have extraordinary bravado. And one example of that I've found is I've sat in meetings as recently as last week with big executives at big major companies, and they insist on telling me what big writer wrote the song before they play the song to me. But I don't really care. And if you're on Spotify and you're noodling around, you're not really caring. I don't think you guys listen to a new record that you hear and think it's cool, and then you're before you hear it, you're let me just make sure that these 5 writers are the ones writing it before I listen to it, and that will dictate if I like it. So part of it is making sure that you don't buy into that insecurity. It's okay, to Gregg's point, you have to have truth tellers in your life. On the other hand, you have to be fearless about what you do. And the best thing about technology today is that the arbiter of who decides whether the shit that you write is good or not is when you put stuff up on YouTube or you put stuff up on Spotify, which all of you have access to, and you let real people decide, with the understanding that people will write sometimes really terribly hateful stuff. But if you're gonna play in this business where we play, then you also have to have the stomach and the character to be able to withstand it.
I cannot stress enough what Billy said about the contracts. I obviously, as a publisher, offer contracts fairly often, and I definitely, absolutely try to get the writers to understand, like, the win is not the deal. I came from a record company and a publishing company, and a lot of the artists and writers, the fail is once they get their record deal or publishing deal, that's a sense of relief and they've made it. That you're really not, haven't made it and you're really just getting started, and Billy is absolutely correct. I will beg any writer not to sign to me if they don't think it's right. I'd rather have you sort of feel like this is going to be the pathway and the group of folks that are going to help me get and attain my dreams than just put a couple of dollars in your pocket, because that money will go very quickly and your career will be super stalled. So that's really, really awesome advice from Billy.